Have you heard of the case of Alison Lawrence, a woman accused of drowning her dog at the Orlando airport? Classified Crime is on the case of Alison Lawrence. Let's take a look. This is the affidavit for arrest warrant filed in Orange County, Florida. State of Florida versus Alison Agatha Lawrence. Date of birth is December 16th, 1967. The detective Michael Fields, a law enforcement officer and detective for Orlando Police Department, filed this affidavit. And the charges is count 1, aggravated animal abuse, 3rd-degree felony. So the synopsis: on December 16th, 2024, Alison Agatha Lawrence traveled to Orlando International Airport with her white-colored dog, Tywin. After Alison Agatha Lawrence was denied boarding of the dog due to improper paperwork, Alison Agatha Lawrence is believed to have taken extreme and tragic action by taking the dog's life. The dog was later located in the bathroom garbage can and was not alive. A subsequent necropsy showed the dog died from drowning and submersion in water. This act was intentional and resulted in a cruel and unnecessary death of an animal. Therefore, an arrest warrant is being sought for aggravated animal cruelty, a 3rd-degree felony. Now, this report is very detailed. There's photographic evidence. I am not going to show any photographs of the animal that the police took after the passing, but the report is very detailed, so that is your trigger warning. So this is the Orlando Police Department's initial response. On December 16th, 2024, at approximately 15:35 hours, so that would be 3:35 in the afternoon, Officer James Taylor, Officer Jeremy Lottridge, and Officer Barbara Sharp, and Officer Sengova Sandy responded to the women's restroom on the main level 3rd floor, across from the WestJet ticket counter B terminal inside Orlando International Airport regarding the report of a dead animal. Upon arrival, the officers met the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority GOAA landside supervisors who were standing at the entrance to the women's restroom. The GOAA supervisors had already cleared the bathroom of patrons and were blocking the entrance to the bathroom. Officer James Taylor and Officer Barbara Sharp entered the bathroom and were directed to the singular handicap stall in the bathroom. On the floor was a clear trash bag that was previously removed from the stall wall-mounted trash disposal. Inside of the clear trash bag was traditional refuse, dog-related items, and a deceased white-colored dog. Now, I am reading this pretty much word for word as it was written by the officer. There is some descriptions in here that you may or may not agree with being used, but I'm just reading the description in the police report. Interview of Luisa Ramirez Alberto. Officer James Taylor and Officer Barbara Sharp interviewed Luisa Ramirez Alberto, the employee who discovered the deceased dog. Luisa Ramirez Alberto communicated exclusively in Spanish, so the officers elicited assistance from the GOAA supervisor, Margie Elise Leon, to interpret. Via translator, Luisa Ramirez Alberto stated that cleaning the bathrooms in the 3rd floor B terminal is part of her routine assignment. Luisa Ramirez Alberto stated she entered the aforementioned bathroom and attempted to enter the handicapped bathroom stall. When she approached, she noticed a black female, later identified as Alison Agatha Lawrence, and herein referred to as the defendant, on the floor of the bathroom stall. Luisa Ramirez Alberto stated the defendant was on her knees cleaning up a lot of water and a lot of dog food from the floor of the bathroom handicapped stall. Luisa Ramirez Alberto stated the defendant spent more time than usual in the bathroom handicapped stall. Luisa Ramirez Alberto stated she had to leave for a cleanup emergency at another location and returned to the handicap stall a short time later, approximately 20 minutes. When she returned, Luisa Ramirez Alberto stated she witnessed the defendant exiting the bathroom handicap stall. Luisa Ramirez Alberto described the defendant as an African-American female above the age of 50 years old, wearing black or dark-colored pants with a rollaway suitcase and a purse. Luisa Ramirez Alberto stated she entered the bathroom handicap stall to perform her cleaning. Luisa Ramirez Alberto stated the floor was clear of the previous water and dog food she observed before leaving. Luisa Ramirez Alberto stated she attempted to empty the trash container from the handicap stall wall. When she lifted the bag from the canister, it seemed unusually heavy. When she inspected the trash bag contents closer, she observed a dead dog in the trash bag. Luisa Ramirez Alberto stated she contacted her supervisor, Margie Elise Leon, at 15:05 hours to report the incident. Officers' observations in the bathroom. Officer James Taylor, Officer Sengova Sandy, and Officer Barbara Sharp entered the bathroom handicap stall. There was a singular clear trash bag on the floor. The top of the trash bag contained normal refuse. At the mid-level of the trash bag were items later identified as dog paraphernalia: collar, rabies tag, companion vest, and dog travel bag. And if you look at this collar, there is the rabies tag with the serial number, which your vet does keep a record of in your files, and also part of her name, Alison Lawrence, and her phone number, which I've marked out, as well as on this collar, it has the dog's name, Tywin, and her phone number and her address left behind in the stall. Now, I am going to be skipping any photographic evidence of the deceased dog because I don't think any of us want to look at that. That's tragic. In the bottom of the trash bag was a deceased dog, later identified as Tywin. The dog appeared to be extremely wet, which was consistent with the testimony about water on the floor by Luisa Ramirez Alberto. Response by Orange County Animal Services. Officer Jeremy Lottridge contacted Orange County Animal Services for assistance in the investigation. Animal Services professionals are trained to recognize signs of abuse, neglect, or foul play in animals. They understand animal behavior, physical conditions, and environmental factors that may contribute to an animal's death. These experts often have experience handling cases involving animal deaths, injuries, and care violations, making them uniquely equipped to investigate such situations. Animal Services Officer Leslie Mosquera arrived at the Orlando Police Airport landside office to assist in the investigation. Animal Services Officer Leslie Mosquera examined the animal's body and surroundings to detect signs of obvious trauma, poisoning, starvation, or other causes of death that may not be obvious to untrained individuals. Animal Services Officer Leslie Mosquera located blood on the left leg of the dog. Animal Services Officer Leslie Mosquera stated the body was warm and wet. Based on physical findings, the manner in which the animal was dumped, and reported facts from Luisa Ramirez Alberto, Animal Services Officer Leslie Mosquera determined a strong potential for abuse. Identification through microchip. A dog chip, often called a microchip, is a small cylinder electronic device implanted under a dog's skin, typically between the shoulder blades. The chip is about the size of a grain of rice and is encased in a biocompatible material to ensure it does not harm the animal. Each chip contains a unique identification number linked to a database with the owner's contact information. It is used for identification purposes and provides a reliable way to reunite lost pets with their owners. If a lost dog is found, an animal shelter or veterinarian can use a microchip scanner to read the unique identification number. That unique identification number is then matched with a database to retrieve the owner's contact details as input by the owner at registration. It is your affiant's belief court often recognize microchip information as credible evidence of ownership, as the unique identification and registration records are difficult to falsify. So she had a collar with her name and contact information, a second collar with her contact information, and a microchip that was linked to her contact information. Did she just assume they were going to not notice the weight of this trash that she put? They had to lift it because it was on the wall of the stall. They had to lift it when they emptied it. It's not like it was in a large rolling trash can that they could just roll out of the bathroom. And she's going to be on surveillance going in the bathroom with the dog and out of the bathroom without the dog. So there's that. Animal Services Officer Leslie Mosquera scanned the deceased dog using a microchip reader. A unique identification number was detected, indicating the presence of a microchip. Animal Services researched the microchip in Chameleon, a microchip enrollment program, with negative results. Animal Services then researched the microchip using AAHA.org with the unique identifier and located a link from July 5th, 2022 to a microchip enrollment program called Home Again. Animal Services contacted Home Again, who provided the following registered owner information. Dog named Tywin, age 9 years old, color white, breed miniature schnauzer, registered owner Allison Holt, registered address of Kenner, Louisiana, and 2 phone numbers. Based on the aforementioned facts, Orange County Animal Services believed the animal's death could have resulted from intentional harm or physical abuse. Orange County Animal Services knew that a necropsy could provide the needed evidence to prove or exonerate an animal cruelty case. A necropsy was requested. On December 17, 2024, Master Sergeant Ricky McNichols assigned me, Detective Michael Fields, as the lead detective in this case. The defendant's use of last names. The Florida Driver and Vehicle Information Database, or DAVID, is an online system used by authorized Florida government agencies, including law enforcement, to access a variety of information related to drivers, vehicles, and criminal justice records. DAVID is managed by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles and serves as a critical tool for verifying identity, investigating cases, and ensuring public safety. A check with the Florida Driver and Vehicle Information Database showed the defendant has used 3 different last names: Alison Agatha Lawrence, Allison A. Holt, and Allison A. Lichter. Notice there are 2 L's in the second 2 names and 1 L in the first. Law enforcement identification of defendant. In the trash bag was a dog tag with the name Alison Lawrence, the defendant, and the phone number. Law enforcement uses powerful investigative tools to gather and analyze information, including identifying phone numbers. These databases aggregate public and proprietary data from various sources into a single searchable platform. A search in the database for the phone number showed the following, and it has Allison Holt, Allison with 2 L's, from Claremont, Florida, with a matching phone number to the dog tag. Identification of defendant flight. And then this goes into a very detailed explanation of what U.S. Customs and Border Protection does, what their role is, and you can pause this and read that if you like, but I'm going to move on to where they identified her flight. U.S. Customs and Border Protection confirmed the defendant used her U.S. passport under Allison Agatha Lawrence, 2 L's this time, to board the following flight: LATAM Airline, LA 4407 flight number, originating in Orlando, destination is Bogota, Colombia, on December 16th, 2024 at 16:05 hours, 4:05 p.m. U.S. Customs and Border Protection confirmed the defendant had connecting flights booked to Quito, Ecuador, and Cuenca, Ecuador. As of the date of this report, January 2025, the defendant did not have a booked flight back to the United States. Traveling with the dog from the U.S. to Colombia. So the detective looked at the requirements for a dog to travel from the U.S. to Colombia, and I'm going to briefly go over the list of requirements. So a health certificate from a licensed veterinarian from the U.S., endorsed by the USDA, and confirm that the dog is in good health and free from infectious diseases. up to date on vaccinations against rabies at least 30 days prior to travel, which the dog did have the rabies tag, and no more than 12 months before travel. Puppies younger than 3 months may be an exception, and they do recommend other vaccinations. Proof of recent treatment for internal and external parasites, such as a deworming and flea and tick prevention, is required. Microchip is recommended, which we know she did have. And upon arrival in Colombia, pets may be inspected by ICA, Colombia's agricultural authority, and if any health concerns arise, the dog may be quarantined for further examination. And then there can be airline-specific rules, such as how you transport the dog. And there can be fees at customs. And the detective also included the requirements for traveling with a dog from U.S. to Colombia from the airline, what the airline requires. Banfield identification of rabies tag. In the trash bag was a 2024 rabies vaccine dog tag with the national identification number listed from Banfield Veterinarian Clinic. So that means she met the rabies requirement because she was traveling in December 2024. So she had gotten the rabies within 12 months, but maybe she didn't have the paperwork with her. On December 17th, 2024, Animal Services Officer Leslie Mosquera contacted Banfield Veterinarian Clinic. Animal Services Officer Leslie Mosquera spoke to an unidentified female who worked in customer service. The unidentified female who provided the rabies tag national identification number, and the following information was obtained. The dog name listed is Tywin, owner Allison Holt, 1L in Allison this time, 2 phone numbers, and an address in Louisiana. Now let's get into the surveillance video. This is very interesting. Orlando International Airport surveillance video. The Orlando International Airport is equipped with extensive surveillance systems with cameras positioned throughout key areas such as check-in counters, security checkpoints, baggage claim, boarding gates, and even parking lots. These cameras help monitor activities, enhance security, and provide a record of events to ensure passenger safety and assist in investigations if needed. In this case, the surveillance cameras were used to capture the defendant and the dog's movements throughout the airport. A review of the surveillance video from GOAA showed a majority of the incident was captured on a series of digital video. The surveillance video shows the defendant enter the Orlando International Airport at approximately 13:18 hours. She got there about 1 p.m. for her 4 p.m. flight. A review of the surveillance video from December 16th, 2024 at approximately 13:34 hours shows the defendant with the yellow arrow and Tywin with the red arrow walking up to the LATAM ticket area and engaging in conversation with a LATAM agent. And you can see Tywin on his leash right here. A review of the surveillance video from December 16th, 2024 at approximately 13:36 hours shows the defendant with the yellow arrow and Tywin, red arrow, walking up to the LATAM ticket counter and engaging in conversation with a LATAM counter agent. This conversation lasted approximately 15 minutes, which is 10 minutes longer than a normal interaction at a ticket counter. Normal is less than 5 minutes. And here's Tywin with his owner. A review of the surveillance video from December 16th, 2024 at approximately 13:50 hours shows the defendant, yellow arrow, and Tywin, red arrow, leaving the LATAM ticket counter. Right here. A review of the surveillance video from December 16th, 2024 at approximately 13:51 hours shows the defendant, yellow arrow, and Tywin, red arrow, walking to the women's bathroom approximately 20 feet from the LATAM ticket area. The defendant entered the bathroom with Tywin. So this is probably going to be the last visible surveillance footage of Tywin here when they go into the restroom. A review of the surveillance video from December 16th, 2024 at approximately 14:07 hours shows the defendant, Yellow Arrow, exited the women's restroom and being confronted by witnesses without Tywin and walks toward the outside street area. So she leaves the restroom by herself. A review of the surveillance video from December 16th, 2024 at approximately 14:07 shows the defendant, Yellow Arrow, exited the main terminal. So she left the airport and walks toward the next closest door and re-enters the main terminal, which is unusual behavior. There she is. So she just walks right out the airport and goes in another door, like as if she's a brand new person that they haven't already seen her face. A review of the surveillance video from December 16th, 2024 from approximately 14:07 hours and 15:34 hours shows the defendant traveled through TSA security to her gate for LATAM Airlines. A review of the surveillance video from December 16th, 2024 at approximately 15:34 hours shows the defendant, Yellow Arrow, sitting outside of her gate and subsequently boards her plane to Colombia. And there she is. No dog. Sitting right there. Like nothing happened. Report of necropsy. A necropsy is an autopsy performed on an animal to determine the cause of death, disease, or injury. It is commonly used in cases of suspected animal cruelty, poisoning, unexplained deaths, or forensic investigations. The purpose of a necropsy is to determine cause of death, identifies if death was due to natural causes, disease, trauma, or foul play, to detect signs of abuse or neglect, can reveal fractures, internal injuries, poisoning, or prolonged suffering, and to collect forensic evidence to support animal cruelty charges. During a necropsy, a veterinarian or veterinary pathologist performs a detailed examination which includes an external inspection, internal examination, toxicology test, histopathology, and microscopic analysis. On March 3rd, 2025, Dr. Adam W. Stern of the University of Florida Veterinary Forensic Pathology conducted the autopsy on the dog Tywin. In consideration of the circumstances surrounding the death and after examination of the dog's body, review of the pertinent medical and mental health records, histology, and the toxicology report, Dr. Adam W. Stern determined that the cause of death was drowning and submersion into water. For death of an animal. It is your affiant's belief that the killing of a dog because the defendant couldn't bring it overseas is an extremely, deeply troubling action. Your affiant also knows there could be a few underlying reasons why someone might make such a decision, even though none of them justify the killing of an animal by a human. 1. Lack of options or awareness. The defendant may have believed she had no alternatives such as rehoming, surrender to a shelter, or finding a foster. The defendant was scheduled to be in South America for several months. This could stem from desperation or even a lack of empathy. Cultural or personal beliefs. In some cultures or mindsets, euthanasia may be seen as more humane option than abandoning or placing the pet in an uncertain future. Financial or logistical constraints. If the defendant lacked the financial means or resources to house the dog, she might have believed putting it down was her only choice. 4. Emotional attachment combined with a distorted perspective. The defendant could have irrationally believed that no one else could have cared for her dog as well as she did, leading to the thought that euthanasia is better than giving the dog away. Lack of empathy or psychological issues. In extreme cases, the person may be emotionally detached, selfish, or suffering from a mental health condition that distorts their moral reasoning. Regardless of the reasoning, this is an inhumane and unnecessary act. There are almost always ethical alternatives like working with rescue groups, shelters, or international pet relocation services. Addressing Florida statute and therocide. Under Florida statutes, a person is allowed to kill a dog if it is caught in the act of attacking or killing a person, livestock, or another domestic animal. This is often used as a defense if someone kills a dog that is actively attacking them, their pet, or farm animals. In Florida, pet owners can euthanize their own animals, but it must be done humanely and in compliance with state animal cruelty laws. Euthanasia must be carried out in a way that minimizes pain and suffering. The preferred method is euthanasia by a licensed veterinarian using approved drugs. Other methods may be considered legal if they are quick, painless, and do not cause unnecessary suffering. The law does not explicitly require a veterinarian if the euthanasia is performed humanely. In cases where an animal is suffering from a terminal illness or severe injury, an owner may euthanize their pet as long as it is done without torture or prolonged suffering. Lethal force may also be used in emergency situations, like when an animal is critically injured and no veterinary care is available. Florida law is clear that inhumane killing, drowning, poisoning, suffocation, blunt force trauma is illegal and can result in felony animal cruelty charges. Killing a pet for convenience, abandonment, or neglect is not a legal justification. Florida has strict animal cruelty laws under the statutes which prohibit unnecessary or inhumane killing of animals. Killing a dog without justification, such as convenience, frustration, or abandonment, can result in felony animal cruelty charges with penalties up to 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. And if she is found guilty of this act, I believe she deserves the maximum penalty and more. Conclusion. Killing a dog is illegal and morally wrong unless there is a justifiable reason and it is performed humanely. In Florida, animal cruelty laws prohibit killing a dog in a way that causes unnecessary pain and or suffering. Killing a dog for convenience, such as not being able to take it overseas, is not a legal defense. Dogs are sentient beings that feel pain, fear, and emotions. The defendant had ethical alternatives such as rehoming, surrendering to a shelter, seeking help at Orlando International Airport, or even simply allow the dog to roam alone until found and turned over to Orange County Animal Services. Instead, the defendant purposely drowned the dog, showing a lack of compassion and responsibility. Due to the above facts, it is your affiant's belief that Alison Agatha Lawrence did commit violations of the state of Florida. The laws prohibiting animal cruelty, a third-degree felony, when Alison Agatha Lawrence knowingly committed the act of drowning the dog Tywin that resulted in the cruel and extremely excessive death in an insanely inhumane and painful manner. The theriocide was not justifiable defense of others, humane euthanasia, or killing of a dangerous animal under legal guidelines. Due to the above facts, it is your affiant's belief that the defendant, Alison Agatha Lawrence, has committed aforementioned violations of the laws of the state of Florida and that probable cause exists for the issue of an arrest warrant. And she was arrested in March of 2025. So what do you think about this heartbreaking story of Tywin and Alison Lawrence? I'm going to continue to follow the case and see what happens in court. As of right now, there's no court date scheduled currently. She is out on bond, but I will continue to follow the case, and hopefully this is a lesson to people traveling that you need to prepare to travel with a pet. You cannot just show up with a pet and expect everything to just go smoothly, and you need to find the requirements, prepare ahead of time, and accommodate your pet just like you would plan another traveling partner that was a person. You have to follow the airport guidelines. So hopefully this will be a lesson to others, and hopefully she will not be allowed to own any more pets after this. So thank you so much for watching, and consider liking this video and subscribing. Until next time.